Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Imperial Diecast. So, you might already know this, but I'm not really a Porsche guy, so you won't find many Porsche reviews on my channel. However, I came across this car during a sale Model Car World was having, and they had reduced this from the MSRP of 60 euros to 29, and then further down to 21, which is crazy low. And it's in a fantastic spec, so I had to pick it up. This car is also heavier than your typical 118 MCG, even though it isn't very big in terms of size. So, what are we looking at here? This is a 118 MCG Porsche. Now, if you're British, you'll call this the 924, and if you're American or Canadian, you'll call this the 924. So to figure out which is more accurate, let's find out what the Germans call it. They call it the 924, or 924, making the North American pronunciation closer to the German original. And it also makes sense, because you don't call the Porsche 911 the 911 now, do you? So why call this the 924? Anyway, let's get the screws out. Nothing screams 80s like a Porsche with pop-up headlamps. But Porsche fans will be quick to remind you that this isn't a Porsche 911. And I agree, because it's a different type of car compared to the rear-engined 911. However, some Porsche purists will go one step further and try telling you that this car isn't even a Porsche, but a rebadged Volkswagen. You see, those Porsche purists liken the 924 to an estranged cousin among family gatherings, and the reason for that is not just because this car looks nothing like a 911, but because its creation was indeed commissioned by Volkswagen. They had hired Porsche engineers to design a sports coupe that could be built using already existing Volkswagen parts, meaning things like door handle, turn signal stock, rear view mirror, and so on. So this was indeed supposed to be a Volkswagen sports car. To further estrange things, this is a front-engined car, the most radical departure from traditional Porsche design. But if you type in front-engined Porsche into Google, you'll come across several different ones consisting of the 924, the 928, the 944, and the 968. The Porsche 924 was made from 1976 all the way until 1988, with this Carrera GT being made from 1980 onward. But while this was happening, from 1982 already, its successor, the 944, also entered production, which lasted till 1991. Now both the 924 and 944 look so identical to one another exterior-wise that I put 944 in brackets in the review title, because you might as well consider this a review of both cars. I don't think there is any easy way to find a 118 944 model, apart from the Auto Art one, which is considered a rarity and goes for like $500. And even the GT Spirit convertible goes for like $200. So if you're looking for a more affordable one, this MCG 924 is the closest you'll get. Now this is the 924 Carrera GT, which is like the souped up version of the 924. Here you can see a baseline 924 made by KK Scale, and here you can see the 924 Turbo made by MCG, and neither of them have the exterior body kit, if you will, that the Carrera GT has, which comes in the form of these reinforced fenders and bumpers and wheels and hood scoop, as well as the Carrera branding on the hood, which you can see right here. Looks pretty cool. So how did this end up being a Porsche and not a Volkswagen? Well, to put it short, Volkswagen ran out of money and thought that selling a sports car would only increase the losses. So Porsche, whose engineers had already worked on it, came to save the day by purchasing the production rights, and then all they did was put their own badge on it and called it the 924 because of the 4-cylinder engine. And sales of the 924 inspired them to create their very own front-engined Grand Tourer with an in-house engine that had an 8-cylinder in it, the 928. It was supposed to be the successor of the 911, but eventually Porsche came back to its senses and has kept selling 911s to this day. But the 924, just like the 944, is an underappreciated Porsche, and in certain ways a breath of fresh air compared to the gazillion variations of the 911. The 928 and 968 are also interesting cars, but they do resemble the 911 a bit more because of their circular headlamps than the 924 and 944 do. So taking a look at the front of the car, you can see that the Porsche 924 Carrera GT's front looks absolutely different to your typical Porsche, which is also what makes this car so unique. Now compared to the regular 924, you can see that it has a different set of front air intakes, and the air scoop on the hood, which is for the intercooler, in turn powers a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 210 horsepower, which is pretty much twice the horsepower of what was in the original 924. Since this is a sealed model, the pop-up headlamps unfortunately do not work, but in the middle you can see that we have the Porsche logo, and it looks pretty good. Now moving further down, you can see that we have here the 924 Carrera badge, and to either side of it we have the fog lamps and then the turn signal indicators. Now the fog lamps don't have any pegs on them, and they also have a textured cover. And even further down we have additional vents, which you can see are perforated, so that is nice. We've got black windshield wipers, black windshield washer fluid nozzles, little stub for the antenna over here, mirrors. And now taking a look at the side of the car. Again, very unique design here compared to your typical 911s. Also, quite boxy because it is an 80s car. Now, I believe that the 944's front overhang is a bit beefier than the 924's, although this is the 924 Carrera GT, so it probably already looks quite specced out. The regular 924 would probably curve up like this, so it would look thinner. Anyway, we've got here a separate piece for the indicator, and the door handles are also separate and also have like a little silver for the key lock. And now if we take a look at the wheels, you can see that these orange wheels along with the orange indicators and turn signal lights just is a great way to highlight the contrasts of this car. And I think that MCG put a decent amount of details here because we've got the Porsche logos on them, and then behind it we also get a silver brake disc. And the chrome rim is also done pretty well. So overall this looks pretty good. And taking a look at the back of the 118 Porsche 924 Carrera GT, I think the back looks even more impressive than the front. with perhaps these taillights looking particularly interesting. I think they're well done. They have these segmented sections, which is quite typical for cars from the 1980s. And there's not a single peg in any one of them, so excellent job here, MCG. And you can also see that they have some taillight cover texture, and the indicators and reverse lights are colored differently, so that's always nice. In between them, we have the rear license plate, which says 924 Carrera, and then we have Carrera GT written on the top right again. And to the left of it, you can see that we even have like a little bit of a trunk lock that has been painted onto the car. And on top of it, this is probably my favorite detail here at the back, you can see that it actually has Porsche engraved into this, what I believe is a rubber spoiler on the real car. Underneath, we get a single exhaust, as you can see right there. And now moving further up, we of course have the rear trunk space with some defroster lines carved onto the rear windshield, as you can see, as well as a single rear windshield wiper, which again is something that these days cars don't have, but was apparently sort of cool in the 1980s. So on the real Porsche 924, this entire back area of the car would lift up like this, right? It would go up like that, and then you could store your things in there. And I think you even have like a indication for the spare wheel there. And of course you can also see the wheel arches from here. So yeah. So now that we've seen the exterior, let's take a look at this car's interior, see what it has to offer. So yeah, I mean, this is basically what the interior looks like. I couldn't really film it without the flash because it was too dark. But you can see that MCG has added some details here, especially in the form of those 3 gauges there in the center console, which probably show the fuel and the oil pressure and all that stuff. And of course it's a typical 80s interior, quite bare bones. Unfortunately, there is no Porsche logo on the steering wheel, as I just noticed. And for an MCG, the interior has a surprising amount of details. Not only do the seats have a pattern printed on them instead of being all black, but if you look at the door cards, you can see it actually says Porsche on them in 3D lettering. That is so cool. I'm taking a look at the driver's side of the Porsche 924. Here from the driver's side, I think you can get a better view of those speedometer and tachometer right there. There's even like a 3rd gauge in the middle. Yeah, we got a stick shift in the middle, right there. Not much else in terms of detail. But yeah, I mean, it is a 2+2, so 2 more people can sit at the back. So the detail is pretty okay. And now taking a look at the bottom of the car, you can see that the bottom is actually quite detailed for an MCG. We have got the exhaust system ending up in a muffler, and of course the exhaust painted in silver, but the rest of it isn't. We do have the transmission detail here at the front. It says Porsche 924 Carrera GT, scale 118, limited slip rear differential, and that's about it. No front steering, unfortunately, on every MCG. But the car does roll fine. So I hope you guys liked my review of the retro futuristic 118 scale Porsche 924 Carrera GT. It's a very stylish looking Porsche from the 80s. I'm happy that I was able to get this model for the price that I did. And if you're interested in more Porsche reviews, well, I don't have a whole lot of them, but I'm sure you'll find some of them here. And as always, take care, have a wonderful day, and
This is Imperial Diecast, signing out.